What is up, guys? Welcome back, or welcome to Running for Views. Today we're going to be talking about who the best ultra runners are. But before we get into that, did you know that 89% of you aren't subscribed? Hit that subscribe button or your favorite ultra runner won't be on this list. Aw, you love Killian? Too bad, he's not on the list unless you subscribe. Just kidding, please subscribe, thank you. In ultra running, there are certified GOATs. I mean, if you think about it, ultra runners are the greatest athletes in the world. A bit controversial, but 100% true. Sure, there's guys who can run 30 miles an hour for 100 meters, but who can't run 100 meters, am I right? But you know what a lot of people can't do is run 100 miles in the mountains. Anyways, today we're going to be ranking the greatest ultra runners of all time. Now keep in mind that I've been ultra running since about 2009, and ultra running has been happening since the 1920s. But today, I am the ultimate authority on ultra running, because why not? So here we have a tier list that consists of the 28 greatest ultra runners of all time. These are people who have won multiple races, are known worldwide, or have made a big impact on the sport. Now the categories on this tier list are S for super, A for above average, B for average, C for okay, and D for bad. Now keep in mind that these are just my opinions, and if you have any problems with them, leave it in the comments below and I will debate you down there about why I'm right and you're wrong. So first up, we got Chrissy Mole. She has over 50 ultra runs under her belt, and she's won UTMB and Hard Rock 100. She has a ton of podium finishes at a bunch of other races, and is just considered one of the best ultra runners of our time. She's been racing since 2003 and is still racing till this day. She continues to support the ultra running community by writing books, coaching, and being a race director. I'll put her at A tier, but she is definitely up there with the greats, for sure. Then we got Anton, 14-time winner of Western States 100. Immediate S tier. She's doubled the number of wins for the top male ultra runner and has come in second place overall, men and women, second place overall twice. At the most competitive ultra marathon in the US, Western States 100, she almost won the whole thing. She was so close to winning Western States overall in 1995, but ended up losing by just 6 minutes to the first male finisher. That is just insane. And because of this, she won Ultra Runner of the Year 12 times. I mean, just absolute S tier for sure. Next up, we got David Goggins. Now, don't get me wrong, I respect David a ton. I mean, he's done very interesting things for ultra running, that's for sure. However, I do not agree with a lot of his teachings and training philosophy. I'm sorry, it's the truth. Now, I know that makes me a little baby beta male or whatever the hell you want to call it, but that's just how I feel. But let me explain. He ran until every bone in his foot broke. Don't do that. His whole motto is basically ignore your pain and feelings. Don't do that. He openly says he doesn't like running. Okay, good for you. He has won 10 ultra marathons, but those were more like backyard ultras and not really the prestigious competitive ultra marathons. He's also podiumed at Badwater 135, a 135-mile race through Death Valley during the summer, and podiumed at the Moab 240-mile race. All of this to say, C tier. I'm sorry. Like I said, come and fight me in the comments. I want to hear what you have to say. Change my mind. Moving on, we got Jasmine Paris. First female finisher of the Barkley Marathons just a few weeks ago. 120 miles through the Tennessee forests, and she did it in under 60 hours. Just incredible. People thought that it was impossible for a woman to ever be able to finish running Barkley, and she did it. She also won overall the Spine race in the UK, a 240-mile race through the mountains of the UK. She won it overall. So yeah, she's a badass, and I'm putting her in A tier. And this is just because she doesn't have any super competitive ultra wins under her belt yet. Next up, we got Dean Karnazes. Can I just get a round of applause for Dean? He's literally the reason that I got into ultra running, and the reason why a lot of people have gotten into ultra running. I read his Ultra Marathon Man book back when I was 15 years old and had just finished my first marathon, and I've been hooked on ultras ever since then. Ever since I was 15 years old, I have dreamt of running ultra marathons. Finally, when I was 18 years old and was finally old enough to do my first ultra marathon, I did a 50-mile race, and the rest is history. So Dean has been a big part of my ultra running journey and has brought ultra running to the masses. It is now a world-known sport because of Dean. If it were up to me, which I guess it is, but I would put him in S+++ tier. However, according to his ultra running legacy and ultra running racing, I'm gonna have to put him down at C tier. I'm so sorry. He's podiumed at a bunch of races, won a few, won Badwater 135, but he just doesn't have the resume that it takes to get up there on this list. I am sorry, Dean Karnazes. Then we got Hal Kerner, two-time winner at Western States and two-time winner at Angeles Crest 100, and a bunch of other wins and podiums as well. However, what makes him ultra famous is his appearance on the film Unbreakable, the greatest movie in ultra running history. This movie takes place back in 2010 at the Western States 100. The movie focuses on Hal Kerner, Anton Krupicka, and Killian Jornet. He's a really cool guy, and I will put him in B tier just because there are a lot of people who have a lot better record than he does. Dakota Jones is another guy who has been running since the beginning. He's 33 and has been running ultras since 2009. Since he was 18, he's been competitively racing ultra marathons. He's had some great results, but hasn't had any top finishes at the super competitive races like UTMB, like Western States, or like Hard Rock. So I will put him at C tier. Next up, we got Ludovic Pomeray. He's been racing ultras for 16 years. In 2016, he won UTMB, and he's been top 10 3 times. And he has lots of other wins and podium finishes. And don't get me wrong, a win at UTMB is a huge thing, but he's kind of a one-hit wonder. So for that, I'm putting him at C tier. Then we got Zach Bitter, our first timed event guy. He's held the world record for 100 miles on the track, 12-hour run on the track, a world record for the 100-mile trail, and 100 miles and 12-hour treadmill records. He's never been able to break the 24-hour world record, but he's come very close. His best pace for running 100 miles was 6-minute and 47-second pace. For 100 miles, that's how fast he was going. And don't get me wrong, that is pretty impressive, but B tier. Next up, we got Courtney S. Immediate S tier. S plus tier. She's the greatest of all time, 100%. There is no race that Courtney Dauwalter can't win. She's the Ann Trayson of our generation, but with other major races now that we have other major races besides Western States. She has a course record at Western States 100, course record at UTMB, course record at Hard Rock 100, and so many, every race she does basically is a new course record. She's just incredible. And if you want to know her other course records, I'll link her best course records video that I made right here in the corner, and you can go check that out. Ellie Greenwood is up next. From 2009 to 2012, she won every race that she entered except for 2. Out of the 21 races that she did during that time, she only didn't win twice. And guess what place she came in for those 2 races? Second. She came in second place. She won Western States twice and set a course record that wasn't broken for 10 years. She's also won races like CCC and the JFK 50-mile race and so many others. I will put her at B tier though, just because she was really good during those 3 years, but then after that, she kind of fizzled out. Next up, we have the Russian speedster, Elena Nurglieva. She's won Comrades 8 times, doubling the woman below her who has won the race 4 times. And she comes in second to the man with the most wins at Comrades. And if you don't know what Comrades is, it's a 50-mile race that takes place in South Africa that's been happening since the 1920s. It's basically the first ultramarathon that's ever existed. She's also won the Two Oceans Marathon 4 times, which I think makes her the South African running queen. However, I will put her at B tier because those are basically the only 2 races that she's done. Then we have another Comrades legend, Bruce Freudice. He won it 8 times in a row. 8 times back to back to back to back to back, and won it 9 times altogether, making him the person with the most amount of wins at Comrades. But the problem with Comrades athletes is that they only do Comrades. However, he was the 50-mile world record holder for 10 years. So he had speed like no other. So for that reason, I'll put him at A tier. Then we've got the incredible Francois Dant, S tier. Immediate S tier. He's one of the greatest ultra runners to ever exist. He's one of the only athletes in the world who has consistently beat Killian Jornet, who is the greatest athlete in the world. So even coming in second to Killian is like you came in first, and he's getting close to Killian or beating him sometimes. He's also been running ultra since 2006 and at a really high level. He comes in top 10 at almost every ultra that he does, and he's won almost every major ultra marathon except for Western States. And he's broken multiple course records around the world. He's been racing less and less frequently over the years, but he's still throwing down great results. Also, he's been a great mentor for those up-and-coming athletes, those next generation athletes So I think that really solidifies his standing at S tier. When it comes to timed events, Camille Heron is the best that there's ever been. She is just barely behind the men's world records, and just this last month, she tried to take down the men's 6-day world record. Unfortunately, the weather was way too hot and she did have some health problems, so she wasn't able to get that overall world record that she was aiming for. The overall record is 644 miles and she made it 560 miles. So kind of close, but like I said, she was sick and the weather was not on her side. I think that if she were to do a race on like an indoor track, like say 6 days in the dome, which is just like a air conditioned dome that has a 400-meter track that you can run around for 6 days, I think that she could get the overall world record there, for sure. She's also done super well at non-mountain, very non-technical races. However, when it comes to anything that has any slight bit of elevation, she's really struggled with that. So for that reason, I will just drop her down barely into A tier, but just know that she is an A++ athlete and so close to that S tier if she could just up her running game a tiny, tiny bit. I guess not her running game, just her mountain game. Then we got Scott Jurk, and this man is interesting to say the least. He's been around forever and is known as Jim Walmsley Sr. He's the first ultra runner to ever smack talk, well maybe not the first, but like the first to do it publicly in the media. Oh yeah, and he won Western States 7 times. In a row, 1999 to 2006, he was winning Western States. He's also won Hard Rock, so that definitely just puts him up there. His main focus was Western States for all the years that he was an ultra runner, and in 2013, he retired from racing and is now focusing more on FKTs. And he did get the FKT on the Appalachian Trail, which is a very difficult one to get. So I will put him at A tier. Now we got Gordy Allen, the OG ultra runner. In 1974, he ran the Telvis Cup, which was a horse race, a 100-mile horse race. He decided, who needs a horse? I'll just run the thing. But yeah, it's a 100-mile horse race through the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And he ended up finishing the race in under 24 hours, even beating some of the horses. Like, just, that's crazy. Then 3 years later, the official Western States 100 race was founded. He is the founding father of ultra trail running, and to this day is still running marathons at 76 years old. He did something that the rest of the world thought was impossible, and while doing it, brought trail running to the world. In terms of performances, I will have to put him at a C tier, but he is one of the legends of ultra running. Just an absolute superstar. Jeff Browning has been running ultras since 2002, and he has some fantastic results to his name. He's podiumed at Western States, won Hard Rock 100, and has 26 ultra wins to his name. Another crazy thing about him is that he is 52 years old currently and still racing with the best of the best. He's been around forever and will continue to be around for the next probably like 20 years, just winning races and being amazing. I will put him at B tier though, because he hasn't really had any great performances in Europe. Next up, we got Jim Walmsley. Current course record holder at Western States. He's won it 3 times, and debatably course record holder at UTMB. And to get this win at UTMB, he had to move to France for 2 years. So he is just 100% dedicated to the sport of ultra running. And I mean, if you look at his race results, it looks like you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between his race results and Killian's race results. Well, maybe you would, but I'll get into that later. But he does have about the same amount of wins as Courtney de Warren, so I mean, if he's up there with Courtney, he's definitely one of the greatest of all time. I think that maybe even in the future, he will go on to maybe, I'm not saying for sure, maybe replace Killian Jornet as the greatest ultra runner of all time. So for this reason, of course, he is up there in S tier. Next up, we got S+++++++. You know that I worship Killian like he is a god. Killian, he surpasses the tier list. He wins. He's god level. Killian is the Lord and Savior of ultra running, of trail running. He is the greatest of greatness of all time. Just amazing. He's been running ultras since 2008 when he won UTMB. Yes, that's right. First 100-mile he did, UTMB, he won it. He's just a completely different breed. He's won every race you could possibly name, ever even possibly think of. He's won it. Western States, done. Won it. Hard Rock, done. He's won that a bunch of times. UTMB, done. Won that a ton of times. And right now, on this day, he has 80 wins on ITRA. So that's the International Trail Running Association. He has 80 race wins. Just insane. He is the most winningest ultra runner of all time. Like I said, Courtney is more comparable to Jim Walmsley. She has 32 wins at ultramarathons. But just Killian, just complete next level, just above them all. He is the greatest. Just hands down, nothing else to say. Period. Then we got Karl Meltzer, the person who has won the most 100-mile races in the world. He coined the phrase, 100 miles isn't that far, and he's proven that over and over again, just by being him. He also helped design, I think, the best trail shoe that's out there, the Speed Goat. So Hoka's Speed Goat shoe, I think, is the best, and it's named after Karl Meltzer. He is just amazing. He's won Hard Rock 5 times and is tied with Killian Jornet for the most amount of wins at Hard Rock. But besides that, he hasn't won any major races. He's been running ultras since 1993, since the year that I was born. But like I said, he hasn't won any of the super competitive ultras, so I will put him at just A tier. Next up, we got Tim Tweetmeyer, the king of Western States. He's won it 5 times and has completed the race 25 times, all in under 24 hours. So that means that he has 25 silver buckles. That's so crazy. He's also a 42-time finisher at the American River 50-mile race. That's 42 years he's been running 50 miles. That's insane to think about. And he's also run the California Marathon 29 times. And he was the first person to ever break 2 days on the Tahoe Rim Trail. But yeah, I'll put him at B tier, but this man is truly a legend. Next up, we got Anton Krupicka, who is the OG of my ultra running generation, I would say. He was also in the Unbreakable movie, which is, like I said, the greatest ultra running movie of all time. So that basically solidified his GOAT status forever. He was a huge up-and-coming name in the ultra running scene until injury after injury after injury. His training philosophy was basically just insane miles, like 200 miles a week, and minimalist shoes, which are not a good combination. But luckily, he taught the rest of us ultra runners a very valuable lesson. You do not need to be running this many miles for training, and minimalist shoes suck. He's won Leadville 100 mile in Colorado twice. He came in second at Western States on that year where they filmed it for Unbreakable, and has a bunch of other wins and podium finishes. But injury has been his main problem, so for this I will put him at B tier. Yaros Kouros is a name that all of the elder ultra runners will talk about, but not a name that a lot of us younger ultra runners know. But that doesn't stop him from being one of the greatest runners of all time. He's held the world record in the 100-mile distance on the road, 1,000-kilometer world record on the track, 1,000-kilometer world record on the road, 1,000-mile record on the road, world record at the 12-hour event on the road, world record at the 24-hour event on the road, world record at the 24-hour on the track, world record at the 48-hour on the road and track, and 6-day world record on the road and track. Like this man is an ultra running just phenom. He's insane. He's also won the Athens to Sparta race and the Sydney to Melbourne race, each 4 times. He is the king of ultra running on the road and track, and for that reason, he is up there in the S tier. I mean, he's won every race that he's entered, so that's an S tier for me. Then we got Katie Scheid, my American expat living in France sister. She's been running ultra since 2015 and winning most of them. However, her name became world famous when she won the 2022 UTMB race. And I think that now that she's here at the top, that she is here to stay. I think that she will one day be maybe the next Courtney de Warren. Like, she is that good. In 2023, she came in second to Courtney de Warren at Western States, and they both came in under the 10-year course record, which was just crazy to watch and so inspiring. I have a feeling that this year's Western States 100 in 2024 will be her year and that she'll win, and that hopefully maybe next year she'll start focusing on Hard Rock 100 and just keep winning as many competitive ultras as possible. I'll put her at A tier for now, but just know in the next couple of years she will hit that S tier for sure. Next up we got Xavier Tidd. I'm probably saying that wrong because it's a French name, but he is also one of the few people who can say that he has beat Killian Jornet in a race. He has 3 wins at UTMB, a win at CCC, a win at OCC, and a win at TDS. So he is like the Pokemon master. He has collected all of the UTMB races and won them all. He's been running races since 2009, but as of late, he seems to be fading and just kind of fizzling out. But I mean, I'm still gonna put him at A tier because he's so good. Zach Miller is another name that has been around in the sport of ultra running for a while now. 2013 to be exact. For a while, he was known as the cruise ship kid because he was working on a cruise ship, would come off, run insane mountains, win races, hop back on the cruise ship, and be off to the next place. Then in 2013, he exploded onto the scene and won the JFK 50-mile race, the fastest 50-mile race in North America. He also won CCC and the super competitive North Face 50-mile race, Tarawera 100-mile, and came in second at the 2023 Western States 100. For now, I will have to put him at A tier, but I think that by the time he retires, he will reach that S tier for sure. Next up, we got the icon, Timothy Olsen. He's been racing since 2009 and just absolutely crushing it. In 2012, he got the Western States 100 course record, and that record stood for 6 years, until Jim Walmsley broke it. He also ran Western States in 2013 and won, but since then has just kind of been winning like local smaller races, so I will have to put him at that B tier. All right, so that is everyone. 28 of the greatest ultra runners of all time. So let's take a look. Who are the greatest ultra runners of all time? For me, they're Ann Trayson, the unstoppable, unbeatable Western States queen. Then we have Courtney de Warren, who in my opinion is the second greatest ultra runner of all time. Male, female, just of all time. There is nothing she can't do and no challenge that is too difficult for her. Then we got Francois Dant, the French goat and mountain runner extraordinaire. Then we got Jim Walmsley, the American goat, who is quickly going for Killian's top spot as the #1 ultra runner of all time. Then of course we have Killian Jornet, the absolute #1 goat in the world of trail running. He is the greatest ultra runner, trail runner, mountain athlete to ever exist, and that probably will ever exist. But yeah, he is the ultra running god, and there is no one above him. And then lastly, we have the throwback ultra maniac Yaros, who was winning ultras since before they went mainstream, before they were even known, basically. He's been winning and setting world records. So there you have it, the best ultra runners of all time. But what do you guys think? Again, these are just my opinions and basically just a joke, so don't take them too seriously. I have no authority who is the best ultra runner of all time, and yeah, just know that I know that. But yeah, is there anyone that I missed? Let me know in the comments below if there's any huge names that I missed or anyone that you would have want to see on this tier list. Also, if you disagree with my tier list, you can throw it in the comments down there and I will roast you and tell you why you're wrong. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and if you liked the video, smash that like button, because one like equals one more race that Killian will win. Goodbye.